preparing to live stream the webinar, Zoom to YouTube, big red bar, setting up your webinar for YouTube Live, big red bar still, 50%, done, redirecting to YouTube, and it's got a window opening, and cool. We are officially live now, and I couldn't mute myself fast enough. So yeah, welcome folks. This is CS Joseph, and we just decided to randomly go live because that's what we do here. We just randomly go live. It's Saturday night, and it's also August 1st, which means we are entering a dawn of a new era for csjoseph.life. And what we're doing with this community. And I would like to have the privilege to make some announcements, but also to reintroduce Mr. Jay Ackley to you in the audience, and letting you folks know that he is going to be joining our coaching staff at csjoseph.life. Jay, how long have we been working together?
Well, I was thinking about that earlier, Chase. It was, I think it's about a year and a half ago. Maybe a little longer, that I first came across the channel. Almost 2 years now that I think about it. But in terms of a closer relationship and working with your team and such, it's been about a year and a half. So
that's a long time. So yeah. Over the last year and a half, you've been through us with all the ups and all the downs. All of our drama, the Discord server exploding a few times. Social engineering, nuclear weapons out of the hands of the enemy, all these grand, amazing stories that we've been through.
Well, it's been a little bit of a ride, but it's been a good one for sure. I've enjoyed every minute.
Yeah, man, I'm super thankful that you joined the team. I also really like your unique perspective from how you've contributed to, our blog and been like our main written contributor in that area. I mean, obviously, let's be honest. Yeah, I'll transcribe the videos and post them as blog posts, right? Okay, yeah, but that's cheating. Whereas you are putting in so much more thought into what you're presenting to people. And I remember your very first Infj article that went out and how popular it was on your first go. And I was like, dang, this guy knows what he's doing. And it's been really great. And we've had so many of your articles going out every month. And there's a huge spike in traffic when it happens. It's obvious when we know when the articles are going out. But I really think that, how you've been able to digest, the type grid and the psychology, et cetera, and then be able to, come up with, your process and produce some output in terms of articles. The benefit it's just been insanely good over time. And I'm really thankful for that. So thank you for your contribution in there. I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks, Jace. But frankly, it's been good for me just to learn. It's been a great mechanism for me to learn about psychology, about personality, about your philosophy specifically. And so to hear you say that, I guess we've all benefited, but I certainly have.
Yeah, well, I mean, you are my pedagogue type, and I've also learned a thing or two from your point of view as well, which has been helpful. I am also very thankful for that. And when we first met, we always talked about, it'd be great, like if you'd study, like everything, and you have, and then also, get yourself to a point where you're able to take your unique point of view and, the collected wisdom that you've had, throughout your life, and with your life experiences, with your struggles, with your triumphs within your life, and really like actually add that value to this audience and our coaching clients, et cetera, which has been great. And I'm very happy to have that. I do remember though that when we first talked about that, we weren't sure about when it was going to happen. It was just like, okay, it'll happen one day, et cetera. And we recently decided, now's the time. And I'm very pleased about that. Especially since, a lot of, every now and then I get these clients who had this really unique point of view. Sometimes we'd get NFPs, or we'd get some philosopher types, or every now and then we get a crusader or whatnot, and we would I'd effectively ask them, hey, do you want to talk to basically our person who's training to become a coach and get his unique perspective? Maybe that could add some value to you. And many of them have had the opportunity to be coached by you already, kind of like we're like beta testing and whatnot. But I think when that happens, every single time, and I mean like literally every time, someone, we've handed someone over to you, they've had a really good experience. I've always heard positive feedback about your approach as a coach. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, I I can be pretty brutal sometimes. I tell the truth, and it's no secret that a lot of people are intimidated when they're thinking about whether or not I'm being a coach as or like being their coach. It's like, wow, C.S. Joseph, he sounds like a really mean guy. It's not about that, folks. I'm brutally honest, but it's because I care about you and I care about your future and I want you to improve as human beings. But the reality of the situation is, like I said in the Crusader lecture in season 17, it is the icy sword of truth. You know what I'm saying? And but you have the fiery sword of truth. And I like your approach. Sometimes we just get these clients that need a bit more of a gentle touch sometimes, and like we've had a few people who consider themselves HSPs, highly sensitive persons and whatnot. And after I would do their session with them, if I had any concerns or whatnot, I would just send them in your direction. But every time it's like, hey, that J guy, he knows his stuff, or hey, that J guy, it was really special. It was, and they're always saying, great things about you. I very much look forward to that, and having you like officially on the staff and advertised on the website, etc., and getting that point. So I just wanted to express to you like my appreciation for your patience. It's taken a year and a half. It's been a really long time. And you've studied so much. You've been with me on a bunch of shows that we've done together, etc. And who knows what topics we'll touch on after we get through this.
But Chase, I think part of that is me too. I mean, I don't know that we've talked about this. Do I feel confident? Am I really ready? I mean, I deal with SE inferior. It's a real thing. And because it's important to me, if I'm going to do this, that I want it to be meaningful to people. I want to, they're looking for guidance, for some coaching. I've done that most of my career in banking with a sales team. But when people are talking about more personal things, it's a little different. And so for that reason, I want to be a little more sure of myself, and hopefully that's the way it works. It reminds me actually of a situation I was in, oh gosh, a long time ago, probably 15 years ago. I was looking for a coach myself, and I talked to a couple of people, and they recommended a counselor here in town. And I went to see him. And what he told me was, when I got there, he says, now look, I'm going to give you 45 minutes once a week. I can only do so much in that amount of time, and you're going to pay me so much. He said, I can really do well for you if I devoted 24 hours a day to your specific problem, but I can't do that. It's only 45 minutes. And so I'd never been, I get what he was saying, but it came across as, look, you're just another person in my list of clients, and I've only got so much time for you, so we're going to be, you're in, you're out, and that's what you get. And I really felt awful by that experience when I came out of it.
I would feel that way too.
And
I'm glad we don't do that here.
How do you tell someone who's coming to look for help from you? How do you talk to them like that? Anyway, I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
And I want to, just bring who I am.
Yeah, exactly. It's really important. I will admit, like, in fact, actually, I was doing coaching with a gentleman earlier today. Really cool fellow. And like, every now and then it's just like, oh yeah, I gotta do this thing or whatever. Or, and today it was like walking the dog, and we went and we just continued on with the session. He got an extra 30 minutes out of it, but I had the freedom to leave my office and, kind of take a little bit, kind of a less professional approach with him, but it added the real to the conversation. You know what I'm saying? And I think, that was, somewhat advantageous in that moment to be able to have that real connection with him and do that. And yeah, I gave him some extra time. It's fine. But like, that's how much we care about, what we're trying to do. I hope our connection didn't drop, because that would be weird. Did we lose our connection? This is odd.
No, you're
Okay. I don't know why. It's like it's like the screen's like going at me, and it's not even showing you for some reason. Oh, did we lose you? Yeah, we did. We lost Jay. Oh, he's coming back. And let me push the button.
there. We go.
All right, cool.
Are we back?
Seems like it.
All right.
Seems like we're back. Cool. Awesome. So anyway, as I was saying, like, no, man, we don't have this whole thing. It's like, oh, you have this amount of time. Like, we don't do that. We just don't do that. Like, I remember, some people are like, are you sure you can only type me in 30 minutes? And I'm like, yeah, I'm very sure I could type you within 30 minutes. Just a lot of people don't believe me when I tell them what it is. And I tell them, okay, look, you're just gonna have to go research. Here's what I think you are. Here's why. Here's the evidence I've gathered. Okay, unless you're not being honest with me, which happens, it happens. And I tell them at the beginning, you got to be honest. If you're not honest, then your results are gonna be horrible, or you could be cognitive transition and whatnot. Or there are the rare opportunities where there are times where I actually am having a bad day. But I tell them, like, look, if you don't agree with it, watch the videos. Do you resonate with it or not? If you don't resonate with it, we'll just hand you another 30-minute session and we'll do it again. I want you guys to walk away knowing exactly what type you are. I'm not here to like extract as much dollars from you as I can. It's not about that. And we have extended certain sessions for certain people to give them that extra time to get that extra oomph. It happens. But like this whole attitude of, oh, well, you only have 45 minutes and, and you're just another client. Like, I can't imagine doing that to people.
No, I
That's
know.
ridiculous.
Well, and if everybody, if the coach is mindful of the clock and the client is mindful of the clock, it's so distracting, and things that need to be talked about don't get talked about. People don't feel comfortable, and
Yeah.
it's just not going to work.
Yeah, that's also why, like for like the personal coaching sessions, like that are like outside the type verification, and there's personal coaching, it's the 1 hour sessions. It's like, yeah, you got 3 follow-up emails. Email me. Here's my email. If you have any questions or concerns about what we've talked about, just let me know. And they email me and I answer them and respond. It's a thing we do for them, and of course if they're combining their like the membership that gives them the membership tier that gives them like a question that they can ask every month and whatnot, that's a thing too that they could do on top of that. But the point is that like I like to think that we really go out of our way for our coaching clients on a regular basis. Now, granted, we can't make everybody happy, but we do our best. And there have been a few times where, it's funny actually. I was recently criticized. Someone said, "Oh, my coaching session with CSJ was terrible," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember you telling me that the session was terrible. I also remember refunding you as well, you know, and like so like." I mean, obviously you didn't find that of value. It happens. Like it happens. I can't make everyone happy. But I also know that the team, and you and I, we really go out of our way, to help people improve their lives and whatnot. But sometimes, like, you just get these people where they have to take on the journey themselves and they have to like do the research themselves and kind of come back and sync up again and be like, okay, where you're at, and kind of move forward them in that direction. And I think that's something that's really missing amongst coaching culture, because everyone has this like professional mafioso type of, I'm tenured and I have a degree, I passed the bar exam and I have all these credentials, and that means you only get 45 minutes of your time, and after that, get out, and these are people's
That's,
lives.
you
You know
know,
what I mean?
yeah, that's right. And I mean, and you've got to allow some time to, well, you use the word sync. I mean, get in sync with each other. And for me, the biggest thing related to that is just sitting back and listening. And because in a lot of cases, people just want the opportunity for someone to listen to them, really listen, not hear them, but really listen and understand what they need to express. And I think we can do a lot if we just listen.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's especially important. I mean, there's some people, I will admit, that they hire me like just so that I listen to them, and they talk for like 50 minutes on this whole thing, and I'm like, and I asked them multiple times, like, how can I help you? Like, they're like, oh no, I just wanted to tell you all of that. You're like the only one I trust to talk to, and I'm like, I've never met you before.
Well, that says a lot, though. I mean, to earn their trust.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I uh, I know how important trust is. Like, it's probably the most important thing for myself. But at the same, because like ENTPs, we need trust, and that's why INTJ's virtue is giving trust, right? So that makes a lot of sense. Like from a golden pair point of view,
Sure.
trust is absolutely integral to an ENTP. Guys, no, this is not an orange shirt. This is literally a watermelon shirt. Come on, like you see this is watermelon.
It
It's
looks a little orange, Chase. I gotta tell you, it looks a little orange.
I've been out in the sun. That's what happens. I taught my son how to swim today, folks. So it's been kind of cool. I
That's
really like
awesome.
it. So anyway, Jay. So what's tell us a little bit more about like some of your professional background a little bit, and also maybe familiarize us. A little bit with members of your family, or just help us get to know you a little bit more.
For sure, be happy to. I was born and raised in Ohio, Central Ohio.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool.
My mother raised me and my brother and sister. She was a single mother. Um, Worked at Kmart. So it was not an ideal situation for a child, but she was a tremendous example for me in terms of self-reliance, responsibility. I mean, she's an amazing woman, and forever grateful to her. Um, but because of her, I wanted to get out of Central Ohio. I wanted to try and make something of myself. I went on a church mission to Taiwan for 2 years. I went to college, got a degree in
That's how you
business.
speak Chinese.
That's how
Okay.
I speak Chinese.
Oh,
Yes,
all right. Now it's making sense.
on the job training, kind of. But went to college, BYU and Ohio State, and got my degree, and been working the last 28 years for a bank here
Please
in
tell me you clenched
Alabama.
that retirement.
I know, Birmingham, Alabama is where I'm at, and I manage a sales team. And so earlier I mentioned coaching. Um, Sales is really counseling. It's relationship building. It doesn't matter whether you're in banking or what profession. It really boils down to relationships, and I think that's why I found some success there, and being able to coach the people on my team, do training both internal with the bank and also with our clients is how to use bank services. Very rewarding. But as you and I talked a year and a half ago, uh, there was something missing in that, and that was more the personal aspect. Could I be of value to people as a coach in their personal lives? And and so that was the journey that you and I started off on a year and a half ago, and ready to continue now.
Yeah, I think like I said before, like everything that you've told me with your personal story so far, combined with how gentle you are, I think that is really going to provide an additional layer, especially when it comes to how we approach coaching here at CSJ, in some ways that I'm not able to provide. Because like for example, yes, I'm pretty sometimes be pretty cut and dry. Sometimes I'm not gentle, but it's always for the person's benefit when they are a client of mine and whatnot. But there are just those few people out there who are extremely sensitive, and sometimes like I get afraid that I'm not connecting with them well enough, or I'm not doing good enough, and my effie child's like, am I going to start getting guilty here? You know what I'm saying? And that's really in those situations, Jay, like especially with the last year and a half, when I find myself in that situation, it's like I really wish I could have done more. I really wish I could have connected with them a little bit better. I mean, because it's really easy for me to connect with NTs. It's pretty easy for me to do like fellow or any of the NJs, for example, even Crusaders. When some philosopher types, though, I really struggle, and that could be like a big thing. Hey, you got a present for me, huh? Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So to celebrate my son learning how to swim today, folks, we told him that he gets to choose what Dairy Queen Blizzard we get, and he chose the uh, Oreo fudge brownie blizzard tonight as his reward for learning how to swim today. Apparently, it's the blizzard of the month. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, awesome. Well, have fun, and I will torture you folks by eating in front of you. My ST team is really enjoying this.
Dude, they held it upside down.
It looks delicious.
I was really confused because I didn't know they did that. And they're like, I'm just going to show you upside down. I'm like, what? Why is that necessary?
That's part of their brand.
I didn't know that was part of their brand.
It's part of their brand. All right, Railgun, ladies and gentlemen. So,
well, but no, you make a good point, Chase, because, again, it's back to the relationships and connecting with people. And we're not all designed to be able to just readily connect with everyone else. There's certainly our nature, which so much of this is about, but there's also nurture aspects to deal with at some level. And so it helps to have, a team or a group that can kind of complement each other in that respect, I think.
That's what we're trying to do. That's why we're going to be putting out this thing in the near future. We'll have like a web page for it where people will be able to sign up for like an apprenticeship program. And we're going to vet future coaches and people that want to join our coaching staff. And then they'll take our certifications course, get certified. And then before we give that certification available to like the general public, and then they'll have a textbook they'll even be able to teach out of, etc., and provide all of that. We're going to be working on that soon. We're calling that project Project Explore. We're finishing up Project Discover now. It was technically supposed to go live today, but we had to make another change and send it to the graphic artist to get an additional page added to the test. That's why it's not out today, which I apologize for, folks, but we're working on it. But once we have that handled, we have Explore coming up, and we're going to be getting the textbook out. We're getting it designed. And Jay, you've also contributed a lot to the textbook and the writing, which has been amazing. You've also contributed to the test. You've contributed to so many different areas, especially a lot of the professional writing that we've done, because you're such a skilled writer. You've also contributed in that area. But the bottom line is that over time, we're going to be expanding our coaching staff to make sure that we're able to meet everybody's needs. I mean, as much as I would like to pride myself as that person who can reach everybody, I can't. I want to, but I can't. So I have to humble myself and recognize that, like, I'm not exactly everyone's cup of tea. And, based on that, but that's okay. It allows other people to have an at bat. It allows other people to have that opportunity to provide that meaningful connection while wielding the psychology for other people's benefit. And we can actually find ourselves in that position. And that's what we're trying to do. And I know that you are the first step in that direction. And I'm heavily looking forward to that.
Well, but that's what you want in all of this. I mean, you mentioned maybe that, sometimes you don't feel like you fully connect with people, but yet this is a way that you do, is you recognize that and bring people in who maybe can, and thereby provide, the best service you can to everyone in your audience, all of your clients.
That's what we really want.
Right.
We absolutely want that. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd have one of all the 16 types and different age groups, different genders, and
Sure.
speaking all the languages of the world. You know what I mean? And just
Right.
being able to meet everyone's needs right off the bat. I think that's what's going to happen as long as we continue to keep moving forward. And teaching you and teaching other people things that I know, but then also we also have an opportunity then to look at things that I don't know, look at kind of more of the cutting edge. And it's like, because I remember there's a few times where I've called you and I'm like, Jay, I'm talking about this theory. I remember when I was filming season 17 and I call you and be like, look, I've been talking about quadrashift. This is my position. My mentor's position is the children present as their subconscious. It's two competing theories. We don't know what's true or whatnot. Like, what do you think?
That. I
So
remember.
many more of those discussions will happen. But it's good. It's good to get a lot of additional input from a lot of other people who are looking at the same things that I'm looking at, as well as looking at things that I'm not looking at. I've had so many suggestions. I remember a shout out to Justin Balliard, actually, a fellow ENTP friend of mine. Like, he suggested I read a book, and I read that book, and then after reading it, like, it completely changed a lot of my approaches that I do within the coaching practice alone, specifically based on his recommendation to me. And I was I was floored. So every now and then that happens. A lot of people don't know, when people suggest me books read, I actually write them down and go to my Audible, add it to the wish list immediately, and it just keeps the queue going because I keep my audiobooks going all the time. But it's just stuff like that. But I think expanding the team is critical to the company's future, but I also think it's critical to the health of the movement itself and moving it forward.
Yeah, and it I don't know, there's a lot of demand for your time for coaching as well as everything else.
Yeah.
Maybe this will ease some of that up so that you can devote a little bit more time to your own study and research, and providing more content for everyone as well.
That's really important. I think since moving the lectures behind the paywall, it's been really helpful to me personally, because I've been able to spend so much more time reading, and then based on that, I've been able to refine my approaches based on all the additional input from all the new books that I've been reading. I've been averaging, like, for a while there, I was doing a book a day. Now I'm doing about one a week now, but still, it's a lot, and it's really been helping. I've been really focusing on relationships a lot, because within the coaching practice, a lot of people are asking about relationships probably the most. It's probably the number one thing. I mean, we focus on 4 primary areas with coaching: personal growth, career, parenting, and sexuality. Those 4 areas is where we really focus on. And then eventually we'll have business coaching. But honestly, I haven't been ready for business coaching. Even some of my critics have said that, like, oh, he doesn't really know how to run a business. And quite frankly, for a long time, they were absolutely right. But since then, and having new mentors, new programs, new training, new books, and whatnot, I'm starting to get the hang of things. And having these mentors and guiding me in this direction, I think we're actually going to be able to expand a proper business coaching program in the future. Even though we've been so heavily focused on individual coaching right now. But I mean, I don't like putting the cart before the horse. You know what I'm saying? It's just not my thing.
That's
with
right.
Those approaches. So.
Well, but yeah, it'll come. But the demand is certainly here now for the personal coaching, and but it will come. The business side of it will come. I think there's definitely a need for that as well.
I've already gotten a few requests, but the curriculum that we have for business right now, it's so different every time. Like sometimes people want, hey, we need you for social engineering, or hey, we need you for HR training, or hey, we need you for sales training. There's so many different applications, and it's not a one size fits all. So like anytime we engage a business or a business engages us or solicits us, we're like, hey, can you guys come in and do this thing for us? It's like we need this and this and this. It ends up being like a custom approach every single time because their needs are different every time. You have to treat a business like, I mean, it's way more complex. You know, that it is its own individual organism with many sub-organisms, human beings that, you know, we would ultimately be responsible for in that situation. And we've done it multiple times. Um, I mean, even as funny as this sounds, like we've even been hired by, you know, business leaders specifically to help them get into relationships with other business leaders. And it really had nothing to do with helping them run their business. It was more about helping them out with their relationships. And it's like, okay, that's a little interesting, but you know, I guess that's true if the leader of the company is happy with their sexual relationships, I'm sure their productivity is going to go up. So yeah, I could see the business application here.
Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So anyway, folks, so because it's August 1st, it's a new month. We've changed the membership tiers. We've changed the perks on them for members. We've changed the price points. Prices did go up. However, if you already were a member, you're kind of locked in for the old price. You're grandfathered in, so you're good to go. And we've had to make these adjustments. The demand for coaching for me personally has been extremely high. And based on that, I've had to increase the prices of my coaching as well. However, the membership tiers include discounts now, which help deal with those increased prices as well. Not only that, Jay, with him being on our coaching staff, he's at a lower price point anyway, which combined with the discounts basically brings the prices to how they are kind of already like how they were yesterday, basically. So, with that being said, we're not trying to make coaching inaccessible to this audience. We're working hard to keep it as accessible to everyone as much as possible. And that's our goal here. We're not trying to limit accessibility. So, based on that, uh, I just wanted to let you folks know that that's what's happening. I wanted you guys to, be introduced to Jay, and I'd also like to personally thank all of our coaching clients up to this point. I think we have so many. I don't even remember like the specific number that we've had since we've started the company, but it's a lot. And I've had a lot of clients even before the company started officially. But with that being said, I just want to thank all the coaching clients who have trusted us with their lives, with their secrets, with things that they've talked about. Obviously it's all under non-disclosure agreement, but being willing to give us an opportunity to understand you, come to know you, help you understand yourself, help you gain purpose in your life, and then help bring you to the next level, basically. And also seeing all of you flourish, those of you that at least took the advice to heart and implemented it in your life. I am very thankful for that, and thankful to have been a part of that. Coaching is like being on the front lines with people, more so than anything, because it's like it's in your face. We're getting it done. We're making things happening. We've done some amazing things. We've prevented suicide. We've saved marriages. We've also even prevented bad marriages. We've dealt with arranged marriage in some cases. Like whatever you could think about, we've dealt with. We've even dealt with, cultural issues where people are married to people of different cultures and how the nurture plays in, and can I leverage their nature to say, we've done tons of focus on that. We've done tons of focus on getting people's careers on track, or letting them or for example, a 19-year-old kid who's like, hey, I don't want to go to college, but my parents are guilting me into doing it, but I just don't want to go, and I don't know what to tell them. These are like the complex situations in life, and that's really what we're trying to do here at this company. That's what we're really trying to help people figure out, because people they lack identity. they don't know who they are. And we're trying to give them their identity, help reveal their identity to them that they already have. It's not an identity that we're foisting upon them. It's an identity that they already have that we're exposing to them so they can become better. So yeah, thank you, Jay, for being a part of this. And I very much look forward to continuing to work with you and to support you and your own coaching endeavors on the team, as well as all the other people that will be joining us in the near future to be added to our staff. So,
well, thank you, Chase. Thank you for the confidence, and looking forward to it very much myself.
Yeah, likewise. Oh, so this is kind of like the end of the stream. So if anyone wanted to ask any questions of Jay or whatnot, now's the time in the chat. Have at it. We'll see what you guys say. I have the chat open right now. So we'll see how that goes. Or maybe they might not have questions. That's fine.
That would be fine with me.
and I can just enjoy this blizzard and not care. Even though I do care, but it's like, blizzard good.
I didn't get a blizzard.
No. All right, yeah. Hi, kitty. Oh, yes, the kitty. Apparently, you're Jay Bond, like James Bond, right? We're hoping to have the new test guys available on Friday. It may be pushed out 2 weeks though. It depends on the graphic artist. He had to take some time off for a little bit, but yeah. TI versus FI. I think that's in season 1, bro. Okay. So yeah, 1 to 2 weeks for the public release of the test. Voltology is cool. I like it. It's just not exactly completely accurate. Oh, here's a question for Jay.
No.
Jay, have you ever dealt with people who are in a superego relationship?
In a superego relationship, where one is, yes, I have. A couple of friends of mine, actually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, a couple of friends of mine. And it was a little difficult because they both came to me for some advice. But yeah, it happens. And it's, I think we've got them talking and on the right track, but yeah, it happens.
So they're still together?
They're still together, trying to make it work.
My relationship was not so lucky, but if you guys want to know more about my superego relationship and how it went, go to season 21 and look up episode 7, How to Social Engineer ESFPs, guys. That's where I explain my superego relationship that I have with my ex-wife. If you want to, kind of from my experience with that, check that out. Schrodinger's cat, really? Okay. How, Jay Ackley, will you be doing coaching sessions? Yes, emailed Anthrax. He will be. I can answer that.
And I think the plan is to put my availability on the same calendar as yours. Is that not right?
Yeah. People will be able to choose how that goes, depending on which price point they pick, I guess.
Okay.
How did Jay figure out he was an INFJ? Jacob Vasquez.
Well, that's a good question. When I mentioned being with the bank for 28 years, before coming to the bank, I was with Ford Motor Company for 2 years, and they laid off 50% of their finance staff, of which I was one. I just didn't have the seniority. They put me through an outplacement firm, and the outplacement firm did a professional MBTI test. Now this was like 30 years ago.
Wow.
And it came back INFJ. And so I've always thought I was an INFJ based on that test. But 2-3 years ago, I started wondering what I wanted to do as I was thinking about retirement and whatnot. And so I got online, saw the various INFJ communities. I thought, well, maybe I'm going to take a couple of these online tests just to verify.
Okay.
And a couple of them came back INFP. And so then I questioned, and then that's when I found you and started listening to you, listening to your lectures, and then you and I had a typing session, and in that session confirmed the INFJ.
Yep.
That's exactly how it went.
It was a great session, and a little tear jerking, I'll admit, but I do have a soft spot for INFJs because my son's an INFJ, and it's one of the reasons why I do this is it's really for my son because I don't really often get to see him, and I was taught this by an INFJ. I was taught the psychology by an INFJ, and I know that INFJs and ESTPs specifically, they can wield this psychology better than anybody. They really can. And I hope one day that, like, my son, for example, becomes better at it than I am. I really think he can be if he really devotes himself to it, if he wants to. But yeah, I'm glad that you had a good experience with becoming an INFJ and the test working on the first time. That's not what happened to me. I was like wrong for 6 years.
No, and you know, all through those years, I read Keirsey, I read Myers and Briggs, the books that they had. I read other authors. But you know, with the advent of the internet and the MBTI community, let's call it online, I mean, there are so many opinions, and it's enough to confuse anyone. So, you know, getting that confirmation from you was very valuable.
I appreciate that for sure. Kayla Reed asks, being an INFJ myself, would Jay's coaching be better or worse for an INFJ? That's a really good question. I know the answer to that question.
Do you? We could commiserate, maybe.
Commiserate. I know. No, that's you're not wrong, actually. In my own career, I've noticed that learning from fellow ENTP mentors, if we're not triggering each other, is so important.
Yeah.
Because everything is already like pre-packaged up, pre-processed, ready for that output. Here you go. You know what I mean?
I do. And there's a little bit of competition involved sometimes too, you know. And sometimes maybe you don't want to share part of yourself because you know the other person knows exactly what you're talking about. I mean, you're a little more protective, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that's the case. Someone asked another question, but you already answered that. Let's see. Jen Rock asks, don't you get mad at all the INFJ mistypes in the INFJ community?
This is to me.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I get very mad. Actually, I'm very critical of INFJs. I feel like I can do that because I am one. But most of it comes from mistyping, and you know, it's just telling the truth. It's ultimately it's for people's improvement, and so I hope I don't come across too harsh because that's just not my nature. But having said that, you know, I tend to be a little harsh on INFJs more than anyone else. It's almost like a child. You know, you have a father who has a son on the soccer team or a daughter on the soccer team or something, and they're more critical of their own child than they are any of the other children on the team. And it's, in some ways, it comes from that perspective.
Yeah. You can't get away from mistypes, man. It's like I tried, I failed. It's just not going to work. Tuba asks, Jay, have you dealt with INFPs denying their type? Oh, wow.
Oh yes. I have a friend, very good friend, photographer, who is convinced she is an INFJ, but she is an INFP. And she's so special and so sensitive, and yeah, it's just part of it.
From that point of view, you think she's a Frank James watcher, you know?
I love her to death. I love her to death. But you know, in the end, once we do come to terms, well, not come to terms, but once our type is identified accurately, we just have to own it. We just have to own it and accept it. It's not that we're being put in a box. I know, Chase, some folks have mentioned that to you. It's not that at all.
All the time.
Yeah, but it is a preference that we have, and we learn to take advantage of those preferences for our benefit and improve upon the weaknesses of it. So I don't see it as a box at all, but we do have to own it. We have to own the strengths as well as the weaknesses.
Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. Like, I mean, that's why I did my recent gratitude episode recently, is really owning up to the weakness of the ENTP archetype for being able to show incapable, really, of showing gratitude to other people unless they learn the habit over time, and how important learning and providing that habit is. Because if you don't have that habit, it ends up creating even more bitterness later, and yet it's the cure for bitterness. And that's why ENTPs are super bitter, for example. Everyone has a lot of these weaknesses, and it's so hard to keep track of. But it's super important. Okay, let's see. Apparently someone's asking about my son's type. Yes, I'm sure he's an INFJ. It's like, and he's not presenting in his unconscious. He's pretty solid at this point. I don't think he's going to change, barring some crazy situation. Ariana asks, although this is the same question again, how did you reach to a point where you were certain you're an INFJ? How did you deal with the doubt of possibly being other types? I guess that's a fair question, because a lot of people do that, especially like INTJs and ISTJs. They really, really struggle with the doubt of possibly being other types, you know?
Yeah, the doubt, that's a very good question, actually, because I think even on your team, there's I'm thinking of one individual who thought he was an ENTP who turned out not to be an ISFJ. The problem is you kind of get married to this type that you believe you are, and in my case, it was like, you know, decades.
Thinking I'm an INTJ. My goodness.
Right. And then
I defended that to my own embarrassment in front of bigwigs in a high-rise building. But yes.
But I mean, it could be traumatic. I mean, you put some emotion into this. I mean, you believe this is who you are, and then, but again, it's not you that's really different. It's the analysis that determines the type. So when I thought I was an INFP, it actually did bother me, that the possibility that all these years I've been typed wrong. But I just figured out, I mean, I'm me. I haven't changed. It's, so whatever I am. Whatever my preferences are, they are.
Yeah.
I can't get married to some, you know, construct out there. But in the end, it was, you know, I was an INFJ. Some folks, it's not that way. They are different than what they may have believed originally.
I mean, I've had people even start coaching sessions where they're like, I am this type, and that's it. And they're trying to convince me of their type, and I'm like, no, you're not. Like, this happens all the time. Like, I have people who say they're INTJs, they're actually ESFPs, or I have that's one of the more common ones, but the most common one are ENFJs thinking they're INFJs. That is super common.
Is that right?
Super, super common within the coaching practice. Absolutely. And I also get INFJs thinking they're ENTPs. That's another one that's also pretty common. And then every now and then an INTP who thinks they're an ENFJ. But every now and then we get these really weird one-offs where someone's like, yeah, I'm an INFJ, even though they're an ESFP. That's like, well, wait a minute, how did you come to that conclusion? What happened there? So,
Well,
yeah,
part of it, there's personal bias or our inability to truly be objective with ourselves. I mean, because the way we perceive ourselves is different than the way others perceive us. So one thing is, I think it's very beneficial to have someone else uh, type us or verify rather than just to rely on typing ourselves. Um, and then there are certain aspects of different types that are attractive to people that they want to be. So, okay, let's talk INFJs. I just cringe every time I hear or see in writing, and it's everywhere, the rarest type. I mean, when I see the rarest type, I just want to scream.
yeah, well, so does Railgun, dude. She wants to scream every time she hears that. She's always telling me, "There's no way INFJs are the rarest type. I don't believe that's the case. They're so common. There's one over there. There's one over there. There's one over there. No, there's no way."
But but for some people that's attractive and they want to be rare. They want to be special, and that's okay.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
it can it can mislead you in terms of what your type really is because of that desire.
Yeah, definitely. It is a thing for sure. All right, we got a couple of more questions. So from Miker, we have Jay. Do you think the descriptions of INFJ on the popular personality sites is what confuses people, or are the functions described incorrectly by most?
Well, I think it's both actually. I mean, I think there's not clarity. Well, number one, so much of what's out there does not really even talk about the individual functions themselves. It's
Right.
it's the four-letter dichotomy. So a lack of understanding of the functions, not a consensus on what those functions, what the definitions actually are. But I'm convinced the probably the biggest issue is just people express their opinions as to what they think a type is, and
Right.
opinions are all over the map. They're all over the map.
It's very true, and in fact, it actually kind of goes into the next question by Jen Rock. Jay, do you think generalizations about personality can cause mistype? You know,
Yes, absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. And I
Well, I
think,
mean, they're preferences. They're not absolutes, right? And
yeah,
so people, just that simple concept that it's a preference, they don't get that, and that's half the battle right there.
yeah. Cruise DBH Death by Hugs apparently says, does Jay social engineer his clients by pretending to be their pedagogue type to teach them best? Oh my gosh, I don't do that.
No, I don't think I'm that skilled yet, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, that is a cool skill for sure. All right, let's see. I think glad to see that Jay will be coaching. This is a great development. Seems like the audience is overly positive with it. Oh, hold on. Uh, so Jay, in your own words, and we'll just do like one typing questions. It seems that INTJ and INFJ are really similar. How do you distinguish between the two from your point of view? Sorry for my ignorance.
Oh, no, no. I mean, it really boils down to really boils down to one being more. It's their what am I say? Their temperament.
Yeah.
You know, INFJs are much more affiliative. INTJs are more pragmatic. Let me say this. It's this is a little bit of a pitch chase for the type grid, frankly.
All good.
Um, is you can't just it's tempting. It is so tempting, and I have to fight myself too. You can't type on the cognitive functions alone. You really have to type on interaction style, temperament. If you can narrow it down to maybe two types, INTJ versus INFJ, you know, having the same kind of interaction style or communication style. Then you might can get into the individual types, and you can tell an FI child versus a TI child, you know, or an FE parent versus a TE parent. There, you can make those distinctions and maybe determine between the two. But I mean, I still think of like Tori Amos. When you type Tori Amos on on one of your live streams, I was convinced, because she can play two pianos at the same time and sing and everything, that she had to be an ESFP, or, you know, had some SE. Definitely, she was an SE user, and she's not. She's
it's self-discipline.
Yeah. So typing on the functions is dangerous unless you can get down to maybe 2, and you're struggling at that point.
Yeah, that's why we do like cognitive access analysis.
Exactly.
I remember that Ben Shapiro meme that goes around there, and it's like saying like facts don't care about your feelings, and yeah, that's the difference between an INTJ and an INFJ.
Well, yeah, that's very concise. Exactly.
So, I mean, it is what it is. Miker asks, how does your typing process work? Is it a matter of conversation, Zoom meetings? Is it one session? Should briefly explain what to expect? Thanks. I'll take that question.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just a Zoom meeting. We get on Zoom, we have a conversation. If you want to verify your type, if you get a personal coaching session, you can do that during that 1 hour time span if you want, or you can just get a regular session from there, like a verification session. It is over Zoom. We have a conversation. Like if we're doing verification, we do the rapport method. We may open up the test as a verification after the rapport method is done. But the rapport method's able to provide a lot of evidence. It kind of follows a similar process as to what happens on the typing live streams. It's just a lot more in depth. So it's basically what it is. Emailed Anthrax asks, Jay Ackley will be working with children typing. I don't know. Are you going to be working with children? I think we're just focusing on verification and personal coaching for now.
I think we're going to start out a little easier with things that I'm probably more versed in right now. I hope to get into that, but not right off the bat.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, Munchies, he said he's from Alabama. Okay. What if in a typing session the person got a bad day and can't really show who they are? Well, we give a set of rules that people follow in their typing session. But if for some reason they don't agree with the typing, they can open up a support ticket, be like, "Yo, I don't agree with this" and whatnot. And then we could potentially schedule a follow-up session after some conversing over email and whatnot, and then figure it out from there. And that's just kind of like one approach to how we do it. The bottom line is that if you guys get type verification through us, we want you to know. We want you to 100% know. Like that's just the reality. We're not here to just take your money without you knowing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of our approach. So yeah. Okay. Well, I think we're literally at 1 hour right now, Jay. So I think we're going to wrap this up. Is there any final statement you'd like to make, or are we good to go? What do you think?
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Looking a little bit nervous, frankly, but but I feel like I'm well prepared, and it's something I genuinely want to do. So again, I appreciate Chase you giving me the chance to help you out in this way, and hopefully help our audience.
Yeah, man, certainly. My pleasure. Also, thank you for being with us over the last year and a half and being through all of our ups and downs. I'm very thankful for that. And I'm very thankful that you've been with us through thick and thin to be able to handle a lot of challenges, a lot of our triumphs, as well as provide really good thinking in terms of how we could be a little bit more precise and focused on the clients and the community at large, And I also really appreciate the amount of effort that you put into everything that you do. I think that's one of the things that INFJs don't often get recognition for is effort. Because sometimes, they end up in a situation where it's like, oh crap, I got all this wasted effort because I did all this thing, but I had the wrong input. So I was processing it wrong and I gave the wrong output. Now I got to start all over again. And then they become like disillusioned, as a result. But thankfully, as a movement type, it's not a waste. It really isn't. You're able to keep going. And that's what I love about NI Heroes so much is that, the will to not give up, Naruto style for you anime fans out there. So, anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about coaching and about Jay tonight. Look for the test to release in about 1 to 2 weeks. We're just waiting on the graphic artist again. We had to redo the entire beginning of the test to make it nice and whatnot. And more content will be coming. We're looking at doing a morning show. We're going to be doing something fun with the challenge, the weekly challenge for typing, and kind of make a little bit of a contest on our Instagram for that. And we're going to be doing a little bit more stuff on trending topics as well, stuff that you care about. And we're also going to be crushing MBTI myths in the near future. Tons of new content that's going to be releasing, and it will be fun. So with that being said, folks, sounds awesome. And I'll see you guys next time. Have a good night.